Nyhavn, meaning New Harbor, is one of Copenhagen's most iconic and vibrant waterfront areas. Originally constructed in the 17th century as a commercial port, it's now a bustling district filled with colorful 17th and 18th century townhouses, many of which are now home to cafes, restaurants, and bars. Famous for its charming atmosphere and canal views, Nyhavn was once frequented by sailors and is known as the former home of Danish author Hans Christian Andersen, who lived at several addresses along the canal. Today, it's a popular spot for both locals and tourists to relax, enjoy outdoor dining, or take canal boat tours. Every day at Amalienborg Palace, the residence of the Danish royal family, you can witness the changing of the guard ceremony. The royal lifeguards, dressed in their iconic bearskin hats and blue uniforms, march from Rosenborg Castle through the streets of Copenhagen to Amalienborg Square. Marble Church. Construction began in 1749 under King Frederick V. Due to budget cuts and political changes, it opened 145 years later in 1894. The King's Garden, known in Danish as Kongens Have, is one of Copenhagen's most beloved and historic parks. Surrounding the beautiful Rosenborg Castle, it was originally designed as a royal garden in the early 17th century and is now a favorite public space for both locals and tourists. Rosenborg Castle, nestled in the heart of Copenhagen, stands as a testament to the country's rich history and royal heritage. Built in the early 17th century by King Christian IV, this magnificent Renaissance castle is renowned for its stunning architecture, lush gardens, and as the repository of the Danish crown jewels. Stepping inside Rosenborg Castle is like stepping back in time, where visitors can explore opulent royal chambers, exquisite art collections, and immerse themselves in the grandeur of Denmark's royal past. When you enter the beautiful Knights Hall, you can feel the presence of history. The magnificent hall extends in the full length of the castle, and you should remember to look up to see the many details in the beautiful ceiling. The ceiling you see in the Knights Hall today dates from the early 18th century and was created as part of the modernization undertaken by Frederick IV. This beautiful Knights Hall was completed in 1624. The hall was designed as a ballroom and was originally called the Long Hall. It saw fairly limited use after 1700. It was not until the Romantic era, the period from the late 18th century, that the hall became known as the Knights Hall. During the 1690s, Christian V undertook a partial renovation of the hall, including the hanging of 12 tapestries, known as the Rosenborg tapestries, which show Christian V's victories during the Scanian War. Not surprisingly, there is a similar series of tapestries in Sweden depicting the Swedish victories in the same war. During the 1920s, the tapestries were moved to Christiansborg Palace, but they were returned to Rosenborg in 1999. Instead, the Great Hall at Christiansborg was decorated with a series of tapestries with scenes from Danish history, drawn by Bjørn Nergård. The Christiansborg tapestries were a birthday gift to HM Queen Margrethe II, and they have hung at Christiansborg Palace since 2000. Double portrait of Frederick IV and his sister, Sophie Hedevig, painted on a corrugated surface so that only one at a time can be seen. The treasury under the castle opened to the public in 1975. It contains most of the priceless treasures of the Royal Danish collection. King Christian IV's crown weighs approximately 2.8 kilograms. It was made of solid gold. The crown is adorned with rubies, sapphires, emeralds, pearls, and enameled ornaments, featuring symbolic elements of both royal power and Christianity. These treasures are still regarded as national treasures of Denmark and are exhibited exclusively at Rosenborg Castle, protected around the clock by dedicated security measures. Visitors can view these stunning historical artifacts up close. The Christiansborg Palace Chapel is part of the Christiansborg Palace complex, which serves as the seat of the Danish Parliament, the Supreme Court, and the Prime Minister's office. The chapel itself is known for its historical significance and architectural beauty. It has been rebuilt several times due to fires, with the current structure dating back to the early 20th century. The chapel is often used for royal events, including weddings and baptisms, and it holds regular services as well. Its rich history and connection to Danish royalty make it a notable cultural and religious landmark in Copenhagen. This is the Knights Hall at Christiansborg Palace. The walls are adorned with 1,000 years of woven Danish history, from the Viking Age to the present day. Explore the rich world of kings, queens, wartime battles, art, celebrities, historic events, animals, plants, and much more from the history of Denmark. In 1990, Her Majesty Queen Margrethe turned 50 years old. As a birthday gift, the Queen received 17 new tapestries for the Knights Hall at Christiansborg Palace from the Danish business community. The tapestries were designed by the Danish artist V. Jon Nergård. He had been handed the task of telling 1,000 years of Danish history based on the Danish royal lineage. Therefore, the walls of the Knights Hall today are teeming with kings as well as many other aspects of life in Denmark.